Right. So we have our last session, roundtable discussion happening now. So the topic is digital transformation across industries, IT challenges and opportunities in healthcare, finance, manufacturing and retail. A very diverse topic and diverse industry that we are focusing on. So we have our key speaker joining in, Merihan Farouq Al-Fiqi. She's a head of products, Amyyal. So can we have a big round of applause for her and have her on the stage? We have another speaker, Inge Rademeyer. She's an experienced strategy director, MENA, Memac, Ogilvy. So can we have a big round of applause for her? And the moderator of the session, due to some unforeseen circumstances, Sarah and Vinisha is not available today for the session. So we have a wonderful moderator who is here since morning, Rabindra Shah, Chief Technology Officer, Indian Registry of Shipping. So over to you, Rabindra. Thank you.
Hello. So good evening, everyone. I'll make everyone to really be interactive, participative, and a lot of rich experience and informations related to technology we are going to share. And we have got Merihan and Inge, very talented, very experienced, multiple sectors they have worked. I come back to you. The quick short introduction is very, very important to know about the person background. That will trigger your questions when you go and ask. So I start with Merihan. Can you just quick your introduction?
Okay, good evening, everybody. I hope that you all will respond now. Maybe it's the seventh time. Good evening. Hi, just for the joke. Okay, yeah, I'm Merihan Farouq. I came from Egypt. I'm leading multiple let's say product management in multiple companies when it comes to logistics and clean energy. Also offering product consultation through my agency for the last 8 years for digital products and digital businesses. I believe that we are going to talk about the challenges of the logistics industry and how to bridge the gap between the vehicle industry, which has been shifted a lot. Meanwhile, the logistics industry is still working the traditional way. So there is a big gap I can measure and feel while serving both industries. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Inge, can you just introduce yourself?
Thank you so much. I'm just going to do what I usually do and correct on my name. So it's pronounced Inge from where I am, but that's okay. So in the region, it's pronounced Inge, which I totally accept because I understand in the Arabic kind of way that you read it. And little did I know that my name is actually an Arabic name, so I'll take it. So my background, I actually come from more of a user experience background. I know when I've spoken to my seniors, they all always tell me that it actually came from a business analyst. That's where it started, user experience, where you actually started to, it's a very much ingrained in technology and human, the way that humans interact with digital things, which obviously now has progressed. But my role now is more in customer experience. So I'm actually a certified customer experience professional, which is part of a global body, whereby these are the things that we kind of stand for to evangelize customer experience in organizations. Of course, around the globe, there's different levels of maturity when it comes to customer experience, but I can definitely say that from a few years back when I started working in the region to now, it's really picked up and you can see it's being spoken about. There's CXOs being, brought into positions in the C-suite. So this is really where my part comes in, and today I'll really be discussing with you, this intersection of customer experience, where usually it's driven by marketing, but there's this big tension between marketing and technology, where marketeers try to envision something for their customers, and then technology obviously comes with a whole bunch of different considerations. So it's finding that balance in between, and from a business perspective as well.
Thank you so much. 1 minute, my quick introduction. I'm Chief Technology Officer, currently working with Indian Register of Shipping, Mumbai, based at Mumbai. In my over 3 decades of industry experience, I have worked for the automotive, which is my passionate and area sector, aerospace, industry heavy machinery, shipping, FMCG, all these industry heavy machinery I have worked. Name the technology in engineering, IT, over the 3 decades I have used, implemented with my own hands. So that's where the way I go by the background, and I do not talk about any technology until I experience it, deploy it, and realize the benefit to the customer. That's what background goes. More than 200 vehicle program I've worked, like car have got one product, or like there's 200 commercial vehicle design, development, and implementation done. Physically, 10 plants for automotive have done all digital and then physical. So that's where go. More than 100 customers worldwide. I have provided engineering services and creating technology. But technology alone is not sufficient. It has to go with the domain knowledge is very, very important. That's what you are. Domain and technology go together, which create the value of to the customer. Coming to the topic, this topic is really, Mitali said, this very diverse. We are going to talk about digital transformation across industry, IT challenges, and it's not limited to healthcare, finance, manufacturing, and beyond that. To set the context, I'm talking a story 3 decades back. When I was studying the college, right, there was a computer in the room and nobody was allowed to go inside. And there was a keyboard kept. We are not allowed to touch the computer, and I were going to touch a plastic keyboard which has no CPU connector to press it and experience it. Now I'm to the top of the technology, and I build the technology and implement it. Technology alone is not sufficient. Technology alone is not sufficient. It's not technology to be added just sake of our implementation. Technology needs to be implemented and chosen in the context of business in which you are. Is the context of the business is very, very important. And the context of business gives you do the due diligence of existing processes, find out the challenges, find out the gaps on what is to be. You need to have a kind of your roadmap. So that is very, very important. And you pick a technology, pick a problem, and see which technology will solve. So try that, which gives you the top line and bottom line. At the end of the day, we are doing business, right? We are doing business. Any technology should give me the top line and bottom line. Awareness is fine. 3 principles we adopt any technology. See means see. You see the case study. Get awareness. Create the team. Second is try. Means do the proof of concept. Aware. And then finally do the implementation. If implementation is right, you realize scale up fast like anything. Having said that, I'll come back to the questions. We have got a very nice panelist. I will start with Merihan. As a digital business consultant and product manager, specializing in land of transportation, logistics service, you cater to the sectors like oil, gas, chemicals, marine, FMCG, all area you covered. Domestic goods, raw material, and others. We would like to hear from you the insight, some of the challenges which you faced, and how these challenges you brought technology to solve these challenges. So over to you.
Just to list the challenges, we may need 2-hour sessions just to say what are the challenges in titles. That's why I try to summarize only in the main big pain points. We have challenges in the real-time tracking and operation excellence, data migration, integration, and management. Just in, let's say, one phrase for each challenge of these, when it comes to the real-time processes, and if you want to keep everything on track, keep an eye on how the process is going, you will find regulations from every government that permits you from doing this. So you have to go and find 1 or 2 companies just only providing you these services, and you have to find a way to integrate with their old-fashioned, outdated systems. Then you will find yourself want to educate stakeholders, get their buy-in, trying to offering them offers and solutions, and emphasize on a human need that are not replacing them. So it's not only the game of implementing technology into this point, it's also about the behaviors, getting from your people their buy-in. And when you are dealing with operations people, they are the backbone of the logistics, but they are very terrified of the effect of the technology over their businesses. Meanwhile, we are here just to help them to upgrade and do their job more effectively, faster, and better. Not to replace anybody. Technology is not invented for this. If we moved for the data migration integration and for the data management part, you will find each shipper and carrier has his own way, varies from very traditional ways like a paper and a pen, and up to a very advanced, internal, sophisticated, let's say, system that you are not going to let it go, and they are very terrified to share their data info on how it works on the top management level and on the teams that executes level, because everybody is afraid of being just overexposed in a way. So you have to build a generic basic MVP, not to lose your money while you are trying to adopt these people, then trying to do as much as you can a smart, agile way of customization and how to make them accept your new style and go into the, let's say, change management. It's a mindset, how to let your people accept it. It's tough. It takes a long time, but it succeeded on both sides, whether it's shippers and over the carrier sides, where they are a mixture of blue collars and white collars, and sometimes people who don't know how to use a computer, so you are asking them to use a mobile application to receive work. It's massive change over their lives. We have to understand this and help them through the process to get the adoption of your product for all of each other's success. I hope that helps, because it's going to be a very long discussion about how it happens to us for maybe 5 years into the logistics and trying to help different companies with different sizes. So it may need, you know, a 10-hour session or a book how things should go like this. Thank you.
In fact, thank you so much for sharing insight, and I think you should write books, right? The most important thing which I take away from Merihan was she spoke about change management. Change management is organization change is very, very important. Adoption is very, very important. How we make awareness, how we make the changes so that they adopt it and deploy it. That's what she is talking about. And we faced in the last year a lot of challenges. Coming back to this, in today's age of technology, customer centricity and customer experience is the prime for you to remain in the business, and to be successful and ahead of the competition is very, very important. Nothing can be better than Inge. She comes with the background as a customer experience strategy, focus on crafting customer-centric strategy. My question is, what factors do you consider in the following area? Designing customer's journey, designing technology solution, measuring successes. Please feel free to take example and share your thoughts.
Thank you. Definitely, I'm going to share some examples, because I think this is always the easiest way to, if you can speak about a scenario, to start to help us to imagine how these things actually happen. So the customer journeys, obviously, like you were saying, Merihan, is the fact of the matter is that you're trying to help your organization think from a customer-centric point of view. That means that they need to really think from the customer's perspective and put themselves in the shoes of the customer. So a customer journey is really that. What you'll get a lot of the time, like you were saying, you'll do all these interviews with stakeholders, you know, bringing them on board, ensuring that they feel that they've been listened to, because they're the ones who've been working on it. We know that they know their customers best. So we have these discussions with them, and they're obviously very focused, like you said, on an operations, their day-to-day. So sometimes they miss the fact that, you know, there's actually a customer on the other side. And when one does these customer journeys, you also, along with having stakeholder interviews, you do actual audience interviews where, like, your clients, you'll bring them onto a focus group or whatever your technique of research is, and you'll invite those stakeholders. And by doing that, by letting them firsthand hear what the pain points of the customers are, you know, taking yourself out of an inside-out view to an outside-in view, where you're actually listening to customers and hearing what they have to say and focusing on their issues. Obviously, there's always going to be operational issues. There's always going to be technology, data issues. But what we really want to get to is what is that best-in-class customer first experience? Because like you said, that's the key thing. If our customers are satisfied and they're having a good experience, then this raises everything from revenue to loyalty and so on. So when we're doing these customer journeys, like I said, the main thing to focus on is the steps and the mindset of the customer as they're going through this journey. And we know it's not a short-term thing. So even though I'm coming from a marketing, company, Ogilvy itself is known for marketing, advertising, which very much happens at the acquisition part of a journey. It's so much bigger than that. We can't just acquire new customers. We actually have to draw them through the journey all the way through to them becoming loyalists and advocates of our business and letting word of mouth spread. So that's really what we look at. But these customer journeys have so many different layers to it, which makes it so rich. It becomes like this artifact. I'm sure you've heard of like a service blueprint or something, because it not only shows what the customer is experiencing on the front line, it's all the operations that are happening at the bottom. So what we're actually trying to do is, firstly, and that's what I love about this talk about legacy, because we're coming into companies that have an as-is view, and we're trying to get them to the future state view. And to do that, we first have to understand what is happening currently, what are the pain points, and then through speaking with stakeholders, because a lot of them, you really have to tap into their creativity. At Ogilvy, there are technologies, there's people, and all these things that come together, but it's human ingenuity that really needs to shine. And hence why I know we speak a lot about AI, but there is still a human element to it, as someone who has a creativity, who has used something and probably has some ideas that we could learn from. So it's putting those opportunities along the journey, understanding, what are the data points that we're using, because from a marketing perspective or from a customer experience perspective, it's all about personalization now. So that means that from your first interaction with us as a brand or a company, we are picking up data about you. So we've spoken a lot about data security and the fact that we are gaining a lot of data on customers, consumers, businesses, but what are we actually doing with that data? So our consumers, and we can hear this from different generations, a later generation is very it's difficult for them to share information, but a newer generation or Gen Alpha or Gen Z, they are happy to share their data as long as you're giving them value. So that it becomes a lot about value exchange. If I'm going to ask you for your data and I'm going to capture it, make sure that it's secure, but also give me true value for it. So that's really when you think about the customer journey and you're trying to create the best experience for customers so that they do reach that level of satisfaction and they're not dropping off the journey. You can actually use the data that you're gaining on them in a more strategic way to personalize their experience, not to be freaky. That's what we don't want. We've all had these moments where we feel like, wow, it's as if a company just has too much data on me. It's just a weird, they're using it in a very freaky way. So what we really want to do is understand our customers. So that's really at the core of it. Customer experience is, can you understand your customers? Can you know what's important to them or what their preferences are? And can you use that data to really enrich their experience without making it invasive? Yeah, so that's the customer experience journey part. I'll quickly touch on the other two. So in this customer journey, we'll also work with technology providers, MarTech solution providers, because everything that underlies this journey, it's very much enabled, like you said, by technology and data. But what I see in the industry now, working with different, because I'm at an agency, a consultancy as well, we're working with different types of industries, but across the board we're seeing, you know, there's two sides of the coin. There's the unified approach to technology and data and the ununified. So obviously the unified is when you bring in these mega providers like Adobe or someone like a Salesforce, and they're allowing you to, with all these modular aspects, create a very integrated data and technology stack throughout. Then you've got these legacy systems. You're coming into businesses. I'm the one who's, you know, thinking blue skies and trying to innovate, but there's all the technologies that they've already invested in. So they've already spent a lot of money, and now you've got to try and persuade them to completely change their tech stack. They're not going to want to do that. So that's where the ununified approach comes in, which is obviously much more flexible, and you can still keep some of your original tech stack with adding some elements. So that's really where the MarTech partners come in and try and get that, best of breed or customer first or customer centric approach to data and integration, so that you have this kind of tech stack that underlies everything, whereby everything is so connected and integrated. It's not just along the journey and along these touch points and devices or channels that you're using different technologies for different things. You've actually got something that underlies it. So what comes into that also is CDPs. So I know we've been speaking a lot about cloud, but a lot of companies are now investing into CDPs, customer data platforms, to obviously create that unified approach to customer data. But the problem with that is that they don't always know how to leverage it. And I'm sure this is with, like we were saying, with all the different technologies that you invest in. So that's really where we come in, because we create those use cases from really understanding what customers need and want, and how can we create use cases to make sure that you are leveraging your data platforms and the data points that you need to get from them in the best way. And finally, measuring it. We've spoken a lot about this, like how do you measure the impact? So when it comes to customer experience, really measuring the ROI of customer experience, which is really, really difficult because it's a lagging indicator. So it's something that you're not going to see immediately. It's going to take a couple of years for you really to see the impact on the customer lifetime value, or these types of things. Obviously, the metrics that you're following, we always think of it as the pyramid. So at Ogilvy, we've got this impact pyramid. At the top is the impact metrics, like your revenue, all those types of things that the C-suite really care about. At the bottom, you've got all the little diagnostic metrics that are happening across the journey, such as the metrics that you're picking up when someone is using a website, like the behavioral metrics, or when they're engaging in some kind of platform. And all of these things need to ladder up in order to help us to understand that all the little changes we're making and transforming, like from a transformational point of view, we're alleviating all these friction points, and that's actually laddering up to, we can see that when call center times decrease, customer satisfaction goes up and revenue goes up as well. So it becomes really important to be able to, especially for a C-suite, to make sure that they understand the value of customer experience.
Really wonderful. Since you have worked for the multiple sectors, right, across the sector, so your experience, your implementation or all points you talked about, how do you vary from sector to sector? What approach you adopt? You follow the same thing, or what uniqueness you found when you work from the one sector to the other sector?
I'll say a couple of things and then I'm going to hand over to Merihan, because I feel like I've been hogging the mic for a bit. When it comes to across sectors, obviously we follow an approach called relationship design, and that means that we understand that relationships with customers are not transactional, they're all about relationship building. I think in this region it's easy to kind of propose that because it's all about relationships here. I'm sure if you worked in business here, you need to know your customers one-on-one. It's not just one-to-many. You can't have this one-to-many conversation with them. Every customer expects that you know them and you treat them as, as if you're having a conversation with them through an interface. So when it comes to dealing with different sectors, obviously each sector has its own nuances, but at the core still is that, you can actually learn from different sectors, which is where the creativity in it actually comes in. So I know we spoke a little bit before about diversity in thinking. I think, Elias, you mentioned it. It was all about, how do you bring in diverse groups of people? And that's actually where people start to think in a more dynamic and lateral way. And this is really what we try to do when we're speaking to different sectors. So as an example, one of our clients are in the higher education, so university in the region. And when we tried, obviously universities are seen as something very traditional, which obviously speaks to their merit and their credibility, but they are also very behind in the way that they think. So to bring them on this journey of transformation and transforming not the customer experience but the student experience, you really have to try and help every person, every stakeholder to understand what they could be. And I think that's what we were saying, like a vision. Is there someone who's driving at the helm, driving the vision and has a customer-centric mindset and can think a bit across industries or have an analogy of a different industry that they're bringing in. So an example of this being that maybe in education, if you thought of being the next Amazon in higher education, you would bring things in from e-commerce, suggestions, very recommendations of like personalized learning paths. So we all know like Netflix gives you content recommendations. How can you use that concept and put it into a different industry? And when you have these kind of cross-pollination of ideas within industries and you start to think of, let's think of what we can do, what are we doing in retail that we can bring to finance, also recommendations of products and, like a concierge or next best recommendations or recommendation engine. That's where it becomes really interesting and you're allowing your stakeholders to start to imagine and tap into their own creativity. I think that's really where the key is to also transform, is to give your stakeholders the vision of you can be the next Spotify, or how could we be the next, the leaders in our industry. Yeah, so I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of how we approach things.
Thank you. Cross-industrial learning is very, very important. Merihan, I would like to hear your insight also on the same question.
Okay, question again.
You have been also working across the sector and the one sector to other sector will move. How the cross-learning of your experience of implementing and solving the problems from one sector to other sector goes? How you take these learnings to others?
Okay, well, let me share my personal experience into this. I've started building products or IT transformation for traditional businesses all the time. I don't know why, but I have been into this area for a very long time. When it comes to hospitality, maintenance, logistics, and now for clean energy. All the time we are trying just to find the common pain points, why people are trying just to resist these changes, why they are okay with adoption of these changes. If we got the answers of those two whys, the path could be more paved, and the answer always comes as like what you have said, just like the people behavior and the user experience and what you are trying just to help them to go through. For example, what happened in the logistics, we find people, they are afraid of being replaced. If you went to the maintenance part, you will find them they are not educated enough to use technology when it comes to blue-collar sides. And when it comes to the service providers, they will tell you, we're okay with what we are doing, so what do you want to replace us? Or what do you want to take our data? Or if you are going to get somebody into people's houses, or when it comes to B2B, we are okay with what we have. So what are you going to add? So if you are an early adopter and you are innovative and maybe you are the first to do it in your market, so you tell you, I'm going to do a business like what's happening in Canada. I will tell you, we are not in Canada. So what would you do at this point? So you have to tell them we are tailoring maybe a pass or a user experience comes to you. And like what you have said, we create focuses groups out of other experiences in different industries. I found that we can do what we can do in the ed tech could be done in the health tech if you just removed the expert or the industry factor with the same methodologies and same let's say steps, or the same track could be moved if you just say this is for education, this is for doctors, for example. The same path could be applied, just remove that effect, and it could go smoothly with you. When you are just trying to say we are going to deal with blue collars, maintenance people are like drivers, are like hospitality, they are all the same. If you are trying just to understand their needs, basics, and pains, get their buy-in, and be clear on your process, be very clear on your process and the expectations out of this system, out of this step, out of what you are going to have and what you want, very frankly, very clear, and let them just have incremental outputs. If they touch it as soon as possible, very fast, a positive impact on their processes, on their income level, on their ROI when it comes to decision makers, they will give you the buy-in, so your rest of the road will be easier. Could be my advice if you want really to do a change management, or do you want to adopt technology when it comes to traditional businesses.
Thank you so much. We are talking about during the lunchtime. We have done a lot of work in the electric vehicle charging stations also. So can you just share your experience?
Okay, after 5 years working in the logistics, transforming traditional businesses into digital businesses, okay, I have got an eye that there is a great gap between what's happening in the vehicle industry. You all seen the Elon Musk last vehicle without a driver, the last EV without a driver, right? Yes. How many? Okay, send me your WhatsApp, I'll share you the video. Okay. Okay, what happened that Elon Musk just released a new version, let's say a new car that works with clean energy without a driver. So this is for individual for now, and soon it could be, please. Okay, and soon it could be for enterprises. This is the next logical, this is the logical next step from individuals to enterprises. If you go for example, for one of the big 5 and tell them we don't need the driver that who don't want to be digitized. We are getting you a new vehicle that's cheaper with a better depreciation rates and without a driver that opposes your processes. What would the decision maker make in enterprise? Who will accept it? So there is a great gap between what happens in the clean energy vehicles and what's happening in digitizing the logistics industry. I believe that maybe the Marines are still operating with great dependency on the humans. Or let's say, not without without a sailor, there is still human factor. But soon, what happens with the Tesla car? What happens with the Tesla? Let's say a chip, let's say a Tesla chip, we may expect this, and we're expecting a Tesla helicopter, a Tesla plane, Tesla everything. Then the people who are not trying to opposing the digital transformation will be eliminated if they are not upgraded. So the technology is not to replace them, it's to upgrade them into a better levels so they can find a better opportunity with much better impact and easier job. Their job gonna be easier than, because if you can find the technology doing the accidents report and they can predict what would happen with your vehicle, why would you oppose something that would save your life? As a driver or a service provider, why would you oppose something like this? because technology is going to help you to save your life, to save your vehicle, save you the insurance fees and the longer processes with these companies. And so you would like to adopt it if you really touch the positive impact of it. So the gap between the clean energy vehicles and what we do at the Dynamic Future Charging, by the way, we offer on-demand electric vehicles charging in Egypt. Whenever you're stuck on a road, you are just away from your home, away from the 170 electric charging spots. We have only 170 in Egypt, which does not cover the demand. So we offer you on-demand services to your door wherever you are through a mobile app. So this means that there is a great demand in the market. It's now for individuals, some would be for enterprises. So our all, let's say, benefits is to cooperate and adopt as soon as possible so we can have the room to upgrade our jobs, not to be replaced.
Thank you so much. Very soon we'll see the autonomous shipping, a lot of innovations are happening. Just few second closing remark. Any closing remark on the subject, the topic, digital transformation across the industry to both of you?
Sorry,
closing remark.
Closing remark, all right. So for my closing remark, I think one thing to just keep in mind is the, from a customer experience point of view, obviously personalization is becoming a big thing. You spoke about this whole thing about transformation, change management, how do you get people to get into an innovative mindset? I think also always to remember that we're humans in the end, and we function on an emotional level. So although you're telling me that these things are functional, it's going to make my life easier, there is that emotional aspect. So it always needs to be on that continuum of also functional but also emotional. And I think this is sometimes where marketing comes in it, and just needs to add that little emotional sprinkle on the top, but also using data in a very clever way. So I think this is where one can, if you can understand how to use data, and you have a consultancy or a strategist or someone in your network or in your in-house that can help you to kind of identify what those data points are that are going to allow you to create like this personalized experience, then the audience or the customer, whether it's B2B or B2C, they feel that tailored effect whereby you've customized something for them. And when it's like that, we all know that, right? If someone has a conversation with you and they say things that are relatable to you, then your ears pop up and you listen. And it's the same thing when it comes to selling things, when it comes to helping people transform or change their mindset. It really is to like connect with them and create something that's relatable, like a use case or for a C-suite member, something that they care about, which they care about is the bottom line. So it's always like, I am in the communication industry, and it's really about that. We're communicating with people, asking them to change, make sure that we understand what the benefit is for them, and it should be it's so individual sometimes.
Maybe 14 years ago, my manager, my first official manager, advised me to love Google and to love Excel sheets. It was before the innovation of the AI and the things. She told me, if you want to be successful, you have to love Google and you have to love the Excel sheets. Go search for everything and document everything. And now when we have artificial intelligence tools and everything like this, we have all to love technology if you want to be successful, and to love AI. It's not competing with us in any way. It's on our side. It wants us to be successful. If we just tweaked it to our side, use it into our favors, and have a deep belief inside our hearts and souls that tells us that this is for our easier, better, and faster job, and for sure better ROI for everybody, individuals and enterprises. So what I can close this conversation over is to change the mindset again and again and again. Try to adopt more I think of technology is our very good friend, will always help us. Like my first official manager, by the way, his name is Ramee Sadiq. I would like to mention her name. And she told me, love Google, love Excel. I'll tell you, love technology, love AI. It would help all of us a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much for both your time. Thanks for everyone for participation, your time. Over to you, Ayush.
All right, so can we have a big round of applause for Rabindra and other key speakers for a last topic of the conference. Thank you so much.
Can we have a group photograph of all the panelists, please? I will ask Mitali to present certificate of participation to Rabindra first. Huge round of applause for Rabindra Saab. So next we have Merihan. Please give a huge round of applause for Merihan. And at last we have Inge Rademeyer. Huge round of applause, guys, for Inge.